second draft of the day. Weibo looked very out of sorts in game number 1. We felt they had the easier draft. They still couldn't make that work out versus Ultra Prime, who picked themselves something quite difficult, actually. I want to see whether we're going to have AD mid laners left up, and whether that means we're going to see something like a Karth that's coming from... We're not going to see. We're not going to see the Karth that's coming in.
Weibo, see what you did.
But we might still see the AP kind of carry junglers as opposed to the Nidalee, which is a bit more of the early game bully, alongside an AD mid lane like a Justana or a Corki, or something like the Yone as well. One of the AD mid laners is coming through.
I think so. And actually, I credit over to Weibo. We saw Xiaohu pull out a Yone last series that they were in, and he looked really good. He was hitting a lot of Qs, which is great news. Compare that to, I think it was BDD into Chovy, who just couldn't hit a Q, and it was really miserable. Which is a big thing on Yone. You do need to be able to stack those Qs to be able to play the game sometimes.
I've heard that. So we're gonna get okay. If you're banning out either Tristana or the Yone, you're gonna get the other one locked in for you, I'd imagine. Then I'd imagine you get something like Brand or Zyra. Okay, I think Weibo just say, look, we're going to have to give over an AD mid laner. We can pick the other one, but we don't want to give you the choice of AP carry junglers. So let's just give over the AD mid. We're going to just seed that, and we'll try and match AP junglers later.
And you can see, obviously, Weibo won't be able to play the Corki, but we kind of just mentioned the fact that Xiaohu has shown propensity to be able to play things like the Yone. And of course, it's strictly a flex. Breathe, I'm sure, would be very happy to pull out a Yone, even if Yone top has fallen away from the meta a little bit. It's still strictly that flex option if it is required. See whether we are going to see that early locked here.
Yeah, maybe. The thing is, with something like Yone, is that you kind of want to know a little bit more about the composition if it's not a great lane, so you don't always want to slam down. You can also lock it in a little bit. Maybe you can lock it in on 3. So what you could do maybe is do something like Varus, and then maybe an AP carry jungler, and then go towards that next. But instead they say, right, let's not give Niket the Leona. It was banned in the first game, taken away from them in the second, and give a really strong bot lane to maybe try and lock down Niket, MVP of game 1.
Crisp is historically an excellent Leona player, of course. Been playing a number of years now, so there's been through a number of metas, and the thing that wasn't allowed to Niket last game was something like the Ashe, which was first picked by the side of Weibo, and it didn't really work out. We didn't see a lot of value from it from Light, who normally has been so good for this team. He was by far the most consistent member in Spring. Maybe Ultra Prime will be showing them exactly how it's done. It's no longer a hover, it is locked in.
Okay, so that's going over to one of Doggo or Niket. They could try the Ashe Nautilus themselves now. It would put Niket again back onto comfort zone of support champions. Does maybe mean you lose your AP junglers though in the second round of bans. The Ashe can be flexed between AD carry and support. The question is, who are you valuing more? Niket on engage or Hacker on AP junglers? You kind of have to pick one of those two right now, I feel. I feel like that's really valuable. They go for the Braum. They say, all right, Leona, if you're going in, you're diving into a Braum. Leona doesn't have a choice to not go in.
Well, exactly that. And I also really like it into things like the Varus, because it's a lot. You can put at the door and make a lot of his poke a lot less dangerous, theoretically. Actually, not bad into Talia as well when she's throwing threaded volleys around. So I think the Braum is looking pretty valuable here, honestly.
It is, but you don't have any engage right now. So you're likely looking at a Maokai for Hacker. So that means I think Weibo should ban the Maokai. I think that would be very convenient for them.
Smart.
And then you're just looking to see what other engage options you can ban away.
Sejuani might also be a sensible option.
True.
I mean, they're going to ban away some of the AP options, because Lilia, in some ways, actually a pretty good pairing with things like the Ashe.
Are they more afraid of AP junglers than they are of engage? Because you have Ashe Era right now, but as it stands, you have a Varus and you have a Latilia, which are happy to play from range, and you have the engage advantage. You can just ping the Leona ult. You don't even need to go into the fray right now. In this kind of composition, you can just try to get Leona ult into a Talia combo. That might be valuable enough in its stead. If you deny engage on the other side, I wonder if that's more valuable. But Hacker is such a good AP jungle player. I do see the fear there too.
And I think because you've got the Talia here, which you can flex to Tarzan if you want. If you ban away the Zyra now as well, all of your major AP options are down. Then you're really looking at significantly lower down the barrel. The Maokai would still work here. Obviously, I'm sure they'd be happy with that. I mean, in terms of like hard carry AP junglers, what are you looking at? I guess Evelyn, but that's not that great a champion right now.
Sam,
I know
exactly. You want to manifest it.
Well, I know it's the reason I was hesitant to say it as an Evelyn main, bringing her up in the vague hope that someone plays it. It's just unlikely. They won't do that. They ban away the Renekton, which of course is a Chintian comfort pick, and it's just very solid with things. Of course, they can play the Nidalee too strictly as well, because they haven't looked at, of course.
Now, I wonder what Ultra Prime ban away now. Maybe they ban away something like the Skarner from Breathe and just say, you don't want to have that engage option. Thing is, banning away melee champions into the Braum, you don't care as much about. I really am wondering now what's going to be the jungle matchup. Does Tarzan take away Lee Sin or Xin Sao for like the early skirmishing? Do they take an AP jungler and go double AP and just not care about the damage mix?
Well, I mean, they could strictly throw that Talir in the jungle, as we kind of mentioned. They'll go towards the Maokai
which
themselves.
We said would be really valuable for Ultra Prime. So now
Yeah.
it's maybe Sejuani for Ultra Prime, but I don't love that. It feels like you're very low damage at that. Don't you dare! Stop it! Stop it! No
It's
more
not
of this
okay.
Rammus hovering.
It's not okay,
No
Rammus.
more of this Rammus hovering. We
Okay-int.
No, it is okay-int. Yeah, the
int part of that statement.
The Rammus Yumi has left. It's left scars.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so it's not going to be about engage in Tall. It's going to be about the Nidalee. Nidalee is very good into Maokai very early on, but once again, Weibo have the team fight advantage now, pretty heavily, I think. But Ultra Prime do have themselves some laning and early game skirmish options. Feels like Ultra Prime are just not wanting to go towards team fight engage, but not having to count a big engage champion. That might change the equation.
Okay. The Cassante would kind of provide a little bit of that, but it's a lot of conditional engage, right? Can Braum hit a Q or an R? Maybe. Can Ashe hit R consistently? That's really what you're looking at. Your 1-3-1 is pretty good again, at least in terms of the Cassante being hard to kill and the Tristana being good shove. And we did, in fairness, just praise Ultra Prime for playing these slightly
harder
more
compositions,
fragile
yeah.
compositions that can still be very deadly if you can pilot them really well. So they did that in game 1. They've got a Poppy here, which of course is something that Breathe is actually very good at, and Tarzan on a comfort pick of the Maokai. He's very good at this champion, guys. This could still be Weibo just running back a good team fight pick comp and playing it better this time around.
And that Poppy could be so important at ejecting the Braum shield. I really think that you could have gone for a Skarner here if you wanted to have your traditional, well, I say right now, the kind of the premier engaged tank. But they go for the Poppy and say this will help us in the team fights. Breathe has been a notable Poppy in the past. I seem to remember him being one of the better players of this years ago. Once again, Weibo, team fight advantage. Once again, Ultra Prime, harder composition to play. It doesn't always link up on paper in the way that you think it should do, but that didn't change the way that things worked out in game 1.
I also really love Poppy into Tristana Nidalee. Like, we saw it in the Genji T1 series, I think, yesterday, day before, where, yeah, Ona did not get to move around a lot on the Nidalee, I'll say that.
We'll see whether that can be reprised today. Again, with Nidalee in the game, with Maokai trying to defend their camps, you need to have good winning lanes. Can Weibo manage that one? Can Hacker have, again, a real resurgent split from him? He had a couple of down years in the LPL, but this split has been a revolution from him. He might just be able to seal it out, but the Nidalee does have a very high barrier of entry into the early game. You got to get a lot done, especially against a Maokai, who is so much more effective in team fights later on.
Weibo on the other side, a team with some of the most tenured, most veteran, and frankly, high-tier players on paper in the league, struggling here in Summer Split to really find their form. The Gyos ring out again, Weibo trying to be cheered on by their fans, and Ultra Prime seeing blood in the water. Towards the mid lane we go. Breathe, just hanging around here, seeing whether there will be a little bit of skirmishing. Picture in picture there. Some of the Weibo fans there, hoping for a better game too.
And they'll have to. Again, if Weibo lose this, they fall behind the pace of the top 3 in this Group D. Remember, folks, this is where, because we're going around to the second round robin, we're going to close out the group stage, or the placements, or whatever we're calling them now. And you really want to get yourself a good start. We're getting a level 1. There's a Braum in a level 1. Braum Ashe very strong. It's not like Leona can't do a lot of damage either. Spear hits onto Tarzan, going to get forced out for now.
Ooh, that's the Winter Spite afterwards onto Breathe, who ends up with the permafrost coming on down. It's pretty dangerous. Concussive blows, actually. I apologize.
Chris goes in.
Dangerous. The blast cone afterwards. Tarzan low, not dead. Hacker as well. Ignited, not down. Light flashing on forwards. And Last Order would do it. They will get first blood, despite what looked like a phenomenal start for Ultra Prime. Doggo having a flash. Breathe looking to jump back. Light so low. The barrier doing enough. Finally goes down. Braum value so high. Cannot get onto Crisp, who flashes on out. Another kill. Another rocket jump. Crisp low. Not dead. Another auto for Doggo. And despite what went wrong, a final auto. Winter's Bite. And a style point Q under the tower. 4 for 3. Level 1.
2 minutes, 7 kills. You get this nowhere else but the LPL. The level 1 Braum value is absolutely fucking absurd. He stuns everyone at the level 1. And Niket, MVP of game 1, comes out with a huge saving play. It felt like this level 1 went a bit wrong when the first kill went down, but it really came down to Braum value as it kept coming through. Watch this again. First stun onto Breathe. He's basically out of the fight. Chris comes through with the Aftershock, with the Ignite. Tries to take down the Nidalee very early because you want to make sure the jungler is off the table. But look how many Braum stuns come through after this point. We've had about 2 at this point. Gets the passive onto Light. Knows that he can end up getting the stun through there. Immediately tries to body block for Yukai as well. Trying to make sure that some of their skill shots don't come through. Gets 1 passive down. Tries to stack that up. And then immediately gets like the double hit through here as well. Honestly, so much of this was about Niket blocking for Yukai to keep jumping over the W resets. And even goes and says, yeah, I'll take that kill. More than worth it.
And not gonna lie, Doggo flashing away from Breathe there and getting to fight for the rest of it as well. Comes back to lane 201. It's beautiful stuff. That was certainly an experience for everyone involved.
If you are new to the LPL, welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay. Hacker. Now, with so many flashes down around the map, I wonder who this helps, because typically Nidalee wants to be flashing forwards onto people at points. And that being said, means you also can't flash out of players, which can be pretty dangerous too. This early game is going to get really weird really quickly. You can already see Yukai has the cull, farms the first couple of waves, and going to get himself another back after this point too. The fact that Chris walked away with 2 out of the 3 level 1 kills does change the equation a little bit too. But with junglers having asymmetric pattern, just weird idiosyncratic stuff, things can get weird here too.
I think he's just dead, doesn't have the flash, they put the ward up, will be okay, does get to walk away. Chris tried to go forwards anyway, Niket throwing down more of those concussive blows. Actually, just a lot of damage back to Chris. Yep. I got very worried when I saw them look to put that ward down, but the cleanse was enough, you were right.
If Crisp has flash, maybe you can end up locking them in place so the cleanse isn't enough, because you can flash for the Q and then get the secondary stun over. One of the big changes though to cleanse means you get tenacity afterwards. Yeah. So Leona, if you cleanse away from it, the rest of the combo also means a lot less. At least that tenacity was buffed to like 70% or something. Yeah. It's a lot nowadays. All the same, it's going to be that cleanse away from Doggo, but Chris loses some lane pressure. Really need to see what Ultra Prime can do. Again, with all of these flashes being down, do have a significant gold advantage as it stands right now. And once again, Niket and Hacker comboing up again.
I'll try and maybe catch out Crisp and Light down here, who are in a dangerous position. Remember, they both got no flash. Light has barrier back up again. Here we go. Xiaohu's here too.
Xiaohu's here too. If they see Xiaohu, I think they have to call this off unless they get very lucky with Braum stuns.
Can Hacker land a good javelin toss as well? Might have been part of the equation, but they see, yeah, this is unlikely to happen, especially after that Braum Q misses the Winter's Bite. It is the middle of summer, and I can tell you it's a hot and sweaty affair in that part of Asia right now, so the Weiss, despite it being true, I'm sure, not going to survive that long in the current weather.
So, now, the opportunity cost for this is Xiaohu covered bot side. Taza didn't have to. He's going to get himself a decent amount of camps cleared, and as we said, something like Nidalee does need early game value. Tarzan getting more camps up on the board and not being contested on them, getting closer towards level 6, and the first item where they'll be more impactful will impact this game a lot. So Hacker needs to find himself again into the enemy jungle at some point.
I also really want to note that he has gone towards Faded Ashes and a Scorch Claw. It will be a Leandries first. It's something that Tarzan loves.
Leandries Warmogs is what we're seeing right now.
But a lot of that, it feels really, really good on the Maokai, especially with the Phase Rush, because you need to be able to run away a little bit from some of these slows. The Aftershock's not going to save you. Phase Rush just might.
Yeah, I think that Phase Rush on Maokai has been so powerful for so long, because you're not really as tanky as other tanks. You're not a Sejuani. Which can sometimes end up meaning you are the first target picked, even though you're tanky. That can very much help. Hacker going to go towards the grubs first off. Tarzan doesn't have level 6. Hacker is behind in XP. He went towards that bot side play, and because of the weirdness at level 1, does mean the Hacker falls behind a little bit there. But of course, grubs give you some decent XP. We'll be hitting level 5 off of the grubs themselves. Actually, the next one should do it. And then he'll be able to clear his way down to the other side of the map and try and keep pace with Tarzan. He needs to be pulling ahead of Tarzan there, realistically.
And he's still feeling okay.
Oh, he's trying to maybe contest Tarzan here on Raptors. Crisp is around mid lane, so is Niket. But we can see Light is being called up to the plate. Light will be here first. He's going to spot potentially Tarzan. You need to be careful here, man.
I think Hacker's been hacked. Look at that. The internet defense doing some work. Niket in a dangerous position. Does manage to flash away, stays alive. Throws down a Winter's Bite. Raptor's stolen. Flash is blown. Solid little turnaround from Weibo Gaming.
I think Tarzan calling up Lights to the players what really makes the difference there. The Varus being available for the extra damage forces 2 flashes out of jungle support. And as we said, it feels like Ultra Prime, they need to do a lot in the early game. Weibo doing well to combat it this time. They're doing much better at contesting than they were in game 1. Maybe that level 1 helps, but I think that Tarzan his pathing and also the fact that the bot lane dive didn't work out while he got those camps really ends up making a big difference here. Ultra Prime, they need to get Hacker a winning play at some point. He's tried to look in for a couple. He's falling behind a bit in farm because of that.
Right, as it stands, 1,000 gold lead to Ultra Prime, early grubs. But that was a lot off that level 1 play that's left this game in a pretty unusual situation, all things said and done. Hacker will get onto the early dragon as well, and he has been so focused about these early objectives. This time around, though, Tarzan will be here with level 6, I note.
Yeah, and let's see what's happening with the bot lane. Yeah, Hacker's the pull, and they're going in for an all-in on bot side. Braum passive, going to get procs onto Chris. There is a flash on Doggo, not on Niket. He could just die here.
Yeah, Niket's in a dangerous position. Will try and stand forwards, will not make it happen. Doggo flashing away, needs to be afraid because Tarzan, with a flash and a twisted advance, may well leave Doggo to die.
Yeah, I think that Yokai maybe... I think Tarzan just flashes for this at the very best. He has that flash. Cleanse comes through. Q should be enough damage. Gonna be a little close.
A lot of burn with the faded ashes, I think. Oh, no, can't quite get it. Oh, the sapling afterwards. Gonna keep running, but he's gonna tag onto Guardian Shield and a bit of enough speed to get away.
Didn't even need the shield at the end of that one, but Doggo making it out alive doesn't change the fact that they're losing minion waves down there. I was wondering if Yuka could back off in mid lane and do a defensive teleport, not to be the case. Last phase of play was Hacker probably getting a little bit too ambitious towards that bot side dragon. If Hacker knew that, Tarzan was there hanging around at about 200 HP. Maybe he'd feel a little bit better going towards bot side again, but Hacker has finally taken the decision to say, right, okay, need to get some camps. That'll be something which is important. Breathe just had a really good trade onto Qingtian, who tanks up that tower. I think it was for Demolish put onto tab. But, okay, so now again, you see what the problem is. Whenever you make a play and it doesn't work out, Tarzan right here, not really getting something on the bot side onto Doggo, gets the dragon, loses an entire quadrant, all the camps up for Hacker. Hacker's going to do a full clear and will finally start pulling ahead of the Maokai, despite the early efforts from Tarzan. He's been having a much better sign of things, really. Chris, that's a weird old Zenith blade. Niket knows he has to go forward and block it. At that point, though, basically Hacker, because he went off a bot lane, went off of the dragon rather, kind of just puts his bot lane into a bad position. Hacker, I think he's been a little bit too ambitious in this early game.
Yeah, I can understand what the thought process, but Tarzan having level 6 made things very tricky, and then he gets down there, gets involved with the kill, forces Doggo off a wave, gets Dragon afterwards. Yes, of course, you do lose some accounts, but what it really does is even up the Nidalee. You're going to need a little bit more than that yet in the game. A relatively even state. The slight lead over to Ultra Prime, as we said, a lot of that off the early plays, and Doggo still kind of reaping the rewards of going 2-0-1 off a level 1.
True, yeah, and it does help that. Well, I mean, Light has 2 kills now as well,
yeah,
so it's even in terms of that. Doing okay in terms of that farm. Who are the real winners right now? Qingtian's doing okay on the Cassante. It's not the easiest. It's not the easiest Cassante game for him. And then, yes, what I was going to move on to afterwards was Yuko, which you just mentioned them, because you've got that Merc Treads up. Merc Treads changes the matchup an awful lot clear, because it means that actually you can jump in with the bomb on them, and even if it does mean that you go over the Unraveled Earth, the stun doesn't last long enough for you to not get autos afterwards. So you can get yourself some really fun trades there. So we'll see whether Yuko can make the most of that. Can maybe jump into some of the CC now if he has the balls for it, Sam, and see if he can get some damage down.
Well, to shout out my boy Rafa, let's see if we can go balls deep into the back line. I'm just so proud of him for pulling that out in the official cast. That's my go.
Man, the fact that it balls used to play for C9 as well, back in the day, that was the time. So, Weibo are actually going to get themselves early dragon and first couple of these grubs. Tarzan he has the smite for the last one, so that should still be 3 for 3. Your guys jumping in. Again, the bot lane has moved up quicker though from Weibo. They will be in a numbers disadvantage.
Ooh, lands, but it's on to Breathe. Breathe the easiest target to capitalize on. They land the javelin toss afterwards, but it's back away. Yeah. Nice little look in from Ultra Prime, but can't land the meaningful damage or CC.
But you can see that basically Niket is having to defend these lanes, whereas Weibo are much happy to wave clear with one person in lane, which means that Chris can move up towards the grubs themselves. Breathe also moved earlier. It just feels like Weibo are moving with much more intent in game 2, and they're calling people to the play just before. It's a little bit difficult when you're kind of falling a little bit behind the curse, the pace of the game, and Tarzan, of course, now beyond that level 6 mark, has the Maokai and the Leona to combo up with, force play so easily. This is why we came out of draft saying, look, once again, Ultra Prime, bit of a hard composition to play. They need to really get themselves good skirmishes while Weibo aren't in position. They got it in game 1. I think a lot of that was due to Weibo's own play, but they need to see if they can reprise that in game 2 somehow to get themselves the advantage.
And again, the solo laners are playing well. You've still got a Tristana that does cast in a cull, up 1,000 gold, is going to be problematic to manage. And that's Going to be true pretty much the entire game. Tristana very, very strong right now. But I'm much happier about Weibo's proactivity this game. I'm much happier about the fact that they are, in fact, setting up for objectives with some time to spare rather than turning up after it's already gone in awkward positions. That's already a significant improvement from what was a pretty disappointing game one, I think it is fair to say.
Okay, folks. Does kind of feel like Weibo getting themselves a bit... Well, they're behind in gold, but again, it feels like composition kind of makes up for that.
And first items beginning to come on through now as well. So you've got a Leandri's in for the Maokai, who will begin to get really obnoxious with the Scorch Claw and the Sapling Toss, that's what we call. On top of that, of course, opportunity done for Light, who's picked up a few of those kills that Weibo have managed to consolidate as the game has gone on. Top side, though, looking to try and get that last auto on there. Oh, my days. That's got to be
Folks,
what, 1 HP?
He has like 1 minute left to get it. Folks, he's going to get it anyway. It's just for a moment where he's like, okay.
And to shout out another one.
Oh, didn't quite get... yeah. See,
out.
right there. Actually...
What the arrow? Well, that's right, the javelin toss. I apologize. Flash on forward, positive shot. Not quite there.
And Yokai jumps in and doesn't get stunned at first. All in towards the bot side now.
Chains of Corruption land, the doors up into that Glacial Fissure by some time. We'll get to back away, a little bit spicy in the bot lane as well.
It is, man, so close. Flash away from both these mid laners. Bomb on tower, though, we did say that there was a minute left to get those plates, and getting one in mid lane. Did we finally get that top plate taken? I think we did, just about. So another plate or two for Ultra Prime across the board coming from early laning advantages. And what we saw there in the Talia-Tristana matchup is, again, that skill check, where if you manage to get that Unraveled Earth down, it does mean that you can get some really good trades on that Tristana. And Washao needs to be very, very careful.
I thought that hit. That's geometry for you in this game sometimes. Jin W says hello. I remember that particular catch in the Google all those years ago.
It's a 2.5D game. It doesn't quite have that Y-axis on it, or the Z one. Okay, right, going towards the dragon. We have the Asher up again. Is going to hit onto Xiaohu.
But on the other side, Chris gets into the backline. Doggo at about a third, 2/3 HP after the sapling toss damage. Xiaohu down to about half. Winter's bites and concussive blows everywhere, though. Niket's Braum value is unreal. Yukai flashing on over with that W. Still dies to Light, who will stay alive just about an ember in the night for Weibo.
Oh, man.
Wait.
I think he's still going to be dead anyway. Qingtian and the rest of the they know he's there.
Oh,
Who do they give it over
they
to?
give it to Hako.
They give it to Hako, takes the last kill. Once again, Niket on the Braum, making the difference. The LDL rookie for summer 2024 has been such a revelation for Ultra Prime. Yukai, I appreciate the boldness in the fight too. Maybe went just a little too far.
He was an auto-off success there, I'll give him the credit, but that was true against Xiaohu too. They'll still lose this bot lane tier 1 as well. Breathe wasn't there
First tower goes over to Ultra Prime. That's why the observers were hanging on that one. So Breathe gets some gold, but most of it goes over to Doggo. Fantastic arrow from him in the fight too.
Right, and we'll have a look in this replay as well, because this got very intense very fast.
I have no idea how that hits on the shot. I'm pretty sure they had vision of Doggo heading out of the brush there too. I think they maybe tunneled a little too far onto the dragon. They get the dragon, but at what cost? Once again, look how Niket gets 3 different passives off immediately, walks into the fight, and just allows himself to say, look, I'm not getting out at any situation. May as well walk forward and get value. I appreciate that so much. And like, gets the barrier bait play out there. Yokai went a bit too far, but still, Ultra Prime with the nominally harder to play composition, once again showing that they can really make these scrappier team fight comps work.
And I remember going, oh, the lack of CC for Ultra Prime could be quite difficult. Not if Niket's hitting all of these cues.
We have Ash Arrow up again, and that's why I'm getting. I see 8 people on my screen. I see cooldowns up. I see potential of a fight. Herald has spawned. Here we go.
Solar Flare is a bit wide. Chains of Corruption are not, though. All out onto Light. Remember, he's got no summoners left, so he just dies. Yukai rooted up, taken low. There's Breathe in the backline, but the Steadfast Presence runs out, so he gets to hop away. The passive again from Braum is just ridiculous.
Oh my word, Ultra Prime are making it happen. I have no idea how Breathe didn't get a kill into one person on the backline there, but because he doesn't, because Ultra Prime walk away with a hugely won fight that's going to get them the Herald, they've been the ones losing the objectives this time around. Weibo really struggling to deal with the Braum, struggling to deal with Yuakai's Tristana resets. We'll see it again in this replay. I think Chris missing a big ult here is really big. It's 3 clumped up, misses all of them. Look at this though. Braum ult into the Cassante. Light doesn't get to play the game. Fantastic target access from the support and top laner of Ultra Prime. This is where things get really weird though. I'm surprised that Breathe doesn't get the kill. Can't quite combo out onto Yukai. Misses out the Q at the end of this too. Maybe would have got a kill there. Breathe just about outplaying himself.
Doggo at this point with, I think, now 2 items, but before that just the one, was able to just space glide as well. He's gone for the ruler build. It's the Kraken Slayer into the Phantom Dancer for all of the slows, all of the move speed. If anybody saw Ruler play Ashe the other day, it was one of the most glorious things I've seen from an AD carry in a little while. Some of these players on this champion can do just amazing things.
Yeah, they can. And now, by the way, folks, Ashe even got Player of the Week. And so, something which I only found out today, the Players of the Week in LPL actually gives discounted skins for China as a region.
Seriously?
For the champions that they've been playing. So, because Ruler got AD Carry of the Week, and did it on Ashe.
Can we get that?
They got the Project Ashe skin at a 50% discount. It was really cool.
Could you imagine Caps giving a Vayne discount for playing at mid and that kind of thing?
That'd be fantastic. You see, I would enjoy that quite a lot. But all the same, this champion has becoming more and more up in the AD carry role. Light didn't have a great game on it in game 1. Doggo, really far ahead. Both AD carries really far up now. The thing is, they need to be really far ahead, though, because...
Oh, boy.
Oh, my word, he's done it again.
Oh, into the javelin toss as well. It's so good.
Oh, my word. The Ashe arrow again. Doggo does not want to lose the game today, folks. We said Light had an awkward game on the Ashe. Doggo has looked fantastic. And with Ultra Prime now having themselves, they have themselves a Herald to put down. They have themselves a Tristana on a side lane. They take themselves the tower. They have a fantastic ability to walk across the rest of the map now. And Weibo, once again, with, honestly, a better team composition for the team fights, cannot get to the team fights and execute in them.
Pulling away, back towards the mid lane we go. And again, we just have to praise Ultra Prime. This team, compare this to Spring, where they looked lost. This team looks so much more coordinated, so much more ruthless. I think it's the way I'll do it. They are going for these aggressive plays and succeeding. They are confident enough to pick up these much more narrow, much sharper win conditions and succeeding.
Big moment, folks. Dragon up in 10 seconds. Now we've got the Herald being put down in Ultra Prime. That will force a response from Weibo, because otherwise, to leave that, could even go towards the inner turret at that point. 3 grubs gives you some damage. You have Tristana to hit the tower as well. Easy charge in there. Weibo, they're not going to get themselves easy access into bot river. They really need to play around Breathe in his front lining. If Breathe gets into a fight full HP, that can be really dangerous. Doggo's going to take a chunk out of him, but you can see how little damage this Poppy takes. He needs to be such a big player in this fight for Weibo, but Dragon's already gone.
And Doggo didn't need to do damage, he needed to zone him off. And now Crisp's in danger. The Winter's Bite passive again. The heat of summer means nothing at all to the man from the Freljord. Stun backwards, though, is pretty good, but the Primal Surge not enough to keep him alive. They will make it a 1-for-1. Damage back is solid. Doggo finally falls in this game.
He does, and that's an important takedown. Can they get mid lane turret off of that? If they can, that's actually a big win for Weibo. They lost their own turret, they lost the dragon, but getting the shutdown and then also getting it onto Light and taking the mid turret, that's a huge victory for them.
Xingqian decides to step on forwards, though, gets to press W. There's the Unraveled Earth. Teleport behind. They want this. Okay, Yukai is there. Tarzan is so squishy with this build. Has to flash away. Stays alive. Rocket jump, flash. Buster shot. Not enough. Oh, Yukai, he's been so close on those calculations. I finally find the word, but it's just not quite delivered a couple times.
Folks, someone has really been feeling on Ultra Prime. And this Yukai. Tristan, he's almost outplayed himself. He's going to go up towards that teleport in. If this is from Breathe, again, very tanky.
Xingqian, pretty tanky himself, but the steadfast presence puts him in danger. Crisp in danger as Doggo is here as well. Over the wall goes Xingqian, stays alive. Another W. Crisp so low. Reproach velocity and the slows. Welcome to the coldest summer day of your life. Freljord bot lane makes it happen.
Scrapping after scrapping. Baron spawned, but I think for once Ultra Prime don't have the HP to go towards it. Breathe is really trying his best to tank up the front line, but the damage from Weibo just isn't in range. All it means is that the tanks just die a little slower without any damage from being returned. Ultra Prime, significant damage advantage for themselves. They have a 10-stack Dark Seal on Hackers Nidalee with 2 items coming up. He's going to add into the play. Feels like this is the one Ashe arrow we've seen missing this entire game, which starts things off. But Xingqian still has flash, still has his ult. He gets out of the play, and you can just see there's no damage left. Xiaohu has no mana. You don't have Light in the play because he'd ended up having to reset after getting a very near escape from Yukai flashing in. And Weibo need to be very careful that when they're fighting, even with a strong front line, they need the damage there.
I think the other thing I'm starting to realize in this composition is there is a certain threat range where Weibo walk in, get slowed by the Ashe, slowed by the Braum, and then Nidalee, Tristana, and even the Cassandra just laugh at you and run you down, dance away.
It really does feel like Ultra Prime have found a way to just play the backline of frontline spacing better. I think that Xingtian and Niket, they might actually not be tankier than Breathe and Chris because of the mixed damage on the other side, but they're spacing better. They're just playing better in terms of their frontline to backline. Now with the Baron started up, we might have to see Tarzan look for a Miracle Seal. He doesn't have Flash. Weibo teleporting in.
Perhaps a last chance. Tarzan does not have Flash. You are absolutely right. Still throws some
no flash.
Potential ult out. Crisp gets hit by the arrow. The wall is good, but it's not enough. Crisp fried down to the backline goes Xingtian, who's all out. Just this once, Master. Light is dead. Weibo without hope as a result. I'll name a couple other AD carries as it goes. Yukai once again goes rocket jumping forwards, and Breathe will breathe his last. A few more autos. He's still damn tanky. Maybe I called it a touch too soon. A rocket jump denies the Hex Gate, and Ultra Prime just stunt on those kids.
And that will be the last breath for Weibo as Breathe goes down, with Baron going down, and a full team kill from Ultra Prime with everyone living. I think that should see them through into a victory. They're 10,000 gold ahead. They get a huge team fight again, and the carries of Ultra Prime are absolutely tap dancing over Weibo. You can just hear the clicks of their shoes as they're walking towards their opponents, basically uncontested. Doggo has to flash out of a combo from Xiaohu there, but you can see that Yukai very happily making sure that Breathe isn't in front of his carries again. And that's the big story of the entirety of this game. The front line of Xingtian and Niket are using their HP bars, not dying, and protecting their carries. Weibo's front line, they're losing their HP for not very much, and their carries aren't really returning fire.
And I'm looking at Doggo and Yukai, who are just sitting there and laughing as they space.
Look how happy they are.
Coaching staff is joyous, and you love to see it. Honestly, I'm looking at the ability to space this game, and Ultra Prime will put their hand on the head of their younger brother and goes, "You can't touch this," as Weibo desperately swinging their fist. And I look at you and realize you're taller than me, but that's irrelevant as my younger brother is.
That's the one. Some things matter less in life, Sam. You know things that do matter, though? The fact that Breathe doesn't have Flash right now, that's actually kind of dangerous. Remember, Brawn passive, you can get stunned here for forever. And we have some last whispers and a full Lord Dominic's regards coming through from Yukai. That front line was tanky before. This was actually, folks, this was the point of power for Weibo, because Breathe is playing against basically a full physical damage composition with a full armor build. Getting to the point now where they will still shred you all the same. Ultra Prime, huge gold lead, pushing in across the map. They can get themselves towards the next dragon, which has spawned just now. They can keep pushing in. Hacker can solo that one out. And Weibo, I cannot believe they have had 2 games of some of the easiest compositions to play and somehow have misexecuted on them all. The positioning between frontline and backline has been very poor from them, and it raises questions again about consistently inconsistent. This team just beat Anyone's Legend, who were undefeated before that point. They took 2 games off them and dealt with them handily. Yukai's been caught alone in the side lane.
He's got a buster shot in a dream, gets knocked away, but there's still the ultimate there. He thinks he probably just dies for this. Actually, the damage back is pretty good. Not enough, though. The arrow potentially delays things. It's half HP on Xiaohu and Tarzan. Still put them at threat, but Ultra Prime cannot defend their mid laner in time.
Okay, so Yukai, normally been on the on the starting end, rather, of those aggressive plays. This time actually engaged onto, dies in the side lane. Still 3,000 gold up. Very, very strong, but can't take up the 1v3 even with an Ash Arrow helping out. So that will stop the rest of the push coming in from Ultra Prime. Still 2,000 gold up from the Baron, still pushed in a load of turrets, and got themselves the Dragon. So the Baron push, still overall very much a win. Weibo at least stopped the worst case scenario, and their base remains intact.
At this point as well, Nidalee at 2.5 items. Actually, with the changes to Nidalee, partly why we've seen her come back. I know, again, shout out to Rapid, who the big Nidalee name was talking about. The fact that the changes and buffs to Primal Surge are so huge that in the late game, especially once you get a lot of points and they're now maxed, of course, your ability to buff up a double AD carry as Nidalee feels really nice this game.
It does, and Weibo, they are really struggling to deal with those AD carries. Doggo has died once, and that was when he stepped up just a little too far in one of those dragon fights. Ultra Prime, they have, on the whole, played so well around getting pockets of space for their AD carries to play. That pocket becomes larger and larger when Tristana gets longer and longer range, and the items get that much more powerful. Light, Xiaohu, they can combo up very, very well, but they don't have the consistent damage necessarily to deal with the front line. I think that, again, Xingtian, fantastic game from the new top laner from Ultra Prime. And also Niket, the LDL player, stepping up into the main roster, who for me is my new prospect to watch on the LPL stage. They have been the stars of the show here versus Weibo. And it does feel like Weibo, this is going to be very hard for them to come back from. There are so many items they have to contend with.
And all the while, Qingtian continues to shove in mid lane. Xiaohu, 0, 4, and 6, has been absent bluntly on this Talia. Really struggling to find
particular value. Has flash. There's the wall. Through. Doggo
tries to get over the wall. Niket just gets to jump the other side. Now the arrow comes back. Xiaohu in danger, but shoved into the wall as Niket. Still can throw down a Glacial Fissure. Crisp, dead again. Over the wall goes Yukai with the flash and breathe, even with the steadfast presence. Can't deny that. And the damage back. Yukai! So huge! Yukai gets over. Buster shots him to death. Final Fantasy had it right. Buster in front of the name makes it a deadly weapon. They make the damage stick. Hacker gets another, and Yukai has been going for the style plays all game. This one works.
Oh my word, he finally gets himself the drive-by. Flashes over the wall, autos to kill, Buster shots out the other spectators, and lives. Ultra Prime playing with style, Weibo head in hands. This series, after beating anyone's legend, should absolutely have been theirs. This might not be the end of the game, but it's about as damn close as it gets to it. Portaling out. Getting themselves to safety.
And a tier 2 in mid as well. This just gets worse and worse and worse. And the king of the jungle ain't no king anymore. Looking more like George as he splats into another wall.
Weibo lose another for free. Tarzan, I don't even think this game's on him. I think he did well in the early game, but it has just been nightmare scenario. Ult's coming through, but this is a 5v4.
Crisp again CC'd, and the Leona really struggling into the Braum. And I feel like perhaps in draft, we said Braum looks good. I don't think I'd quite realised how good it could be.
Because there was a point where I sat there going, well, they don't have that much engage. Turns out your engage is actually Braum passive when you have double AD carries. I hadn't quite considered that. But Weibo, when they dove in and when they were playing around the Leona and everyone else were kind of diving in, it has just felt as though they haven't been able to deal with Niket on the Braum. He has been the pivotal player in a lot of ways, right the way from the level 1 onwards beyond that point. Weibo get themselves an outer turret, but that's basically Ultra Prime resetting and saying, alright, Baron's spawning in 10 seconds, you get yourself a tower, you're going to have to reset after that point because you've stayed to take their mid lane out of the tower. Let's see if you can take yourself a Baron fight afterwards because we're ready to square up again.
And the more we see it, the more it'll keep happening. Weibo, especially from behind, are obligated to force and engage into 2 very long-range AD carries and a Nidalee as well, with the Braum in front of them, the Cassandra in front of them. You are diving through an avalanche of snow and frost and slows and everything else.
You can see how important Ultra Prime know the next fight is. Qingtian just bought himself an elixir of iron. He just knows, look, I want the extra HP, want the extra movement speed for my team as well. Qingtian, fantastic game from him.
Damage.
You know, you can't really turn a blind eye to anyone here on Ultra Prime. You hacker, 4,000 gold up, getting kill participation, being the sole magic damage source on a very hard champion to play in late game. Has he been the out-and-out assassin? No. I think Yuko's tried to be that, and he has had himself some hit and miss plays.
He's got an Inv Edge now.
He's got an Infinity Edge, and that's definitely going to hurt. But really, for me, I think the matchup which people were concerned about was Breed versus Qingtian ever since that first Rumble versus Darius game. Qingtian has been the better top laner and the better frontliner in this series, and that's not something which I'd expect to say, given the level of form from Breed. We do now have Baron on the table, we have Dragon on the table, which was just killed by Ultra Prime. They now have themselves an extra 15% attack speed, an extra 15 cooldown reduction as well from base Dragons. Huge amount of value for everyone on the board. And Ultra Prime can now go towards the Baron and say, well, Weibo, you're gonna defend your base? What's gonna happen here? Teleport over from Yuka, they're gonna rush this.
Towards the Baron they go. Niket will be spotted on the saplings. Maybe there's an angle here from Weibo. Hacker will pounce over the wall. Down it goes. Tarzan, flash and ult. There's an ult away, actually, as well, with Breathe finally lands a Keeper's Verdict that knocks someone's out. Feels like that's been absent in this game.
But now the problem is, you don't have it again. Breathe is 2 levels down on Qingtian, and of course doesn't even have himself, you know, the big items which you really want. I mean, you don't have the Poppy ult. You go back to it again. You knock out the Blast Cone, which means it's one way over the pit. That's gone. They're going to start this again. If Weibo lose too many members, even in a steal attempt, they might just lose the game.
They can steal Tarzan with the flash, with the art, tricky to manage. The volley lands, Crisp slowed, another Winter's Bite. Breathe on the other side, explosive charge, and Yukai chunks Breathe down to about 2/3. Back to the Baron they go, and with Primal Surge, they can do this over and over and over again.
Qingtian's so tanky too. He can just tank this up for forever. You can see that Ultra Prime, they don't want to give the easiest fight over to Weibo, but they know that Keeper's Verdict is still down. They've taken the Blast Cone. They can jump back in, keep healing up, and keep bringing Weibo back to the fight. The minions are even killing Nexus Towers.
They need to send someone back down to half HP. They know what the job is. On the other side, they find the turn again, just making sure that Weibo cannot leave. Another Solar Flare. Looks more like a child's nightlight this game, struggling again. Another enchanted crystalline arrow, a glacial fissure afterwards, and they go careening down into the depths. Another kill. Tarzan flashes away, but welcome to deforestation, my friend. There is no more trees to swing from. Your base is gone.
Weibo fall 0-4 across 2 series to Ultra Prime. The plucky upstarts bringing in an LGL support, bringing in a new top laner to the roster in Qingtian2. He was maligned for 2023. But this band of upstarts of newbies, they have brought themselves into the top echelons of Group D.
Optimus Ultra Prime says roll over the enemy team. That's all I'm saying. Fantastic stuff from the Autobots Ascendant.
And you can really see how much it meant to the coaching staff behind the stage as well. Ultra Prime, this is maybe the start of something special for them. You know, we called out Niket as probably the best upstart support that's come up from this split.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that really Niket from the LGL has transferred so well to the main stage. I think Qingtian coming in place of Decade from Spring has also been someone who can play from ahead a lot better than someone like Decade could. And I feel like, yes, he has had his issues falling behind, but Weibo, they couldn't get ahead in this game. You know, game 2 was better than game 1, but that's because game 1 was so poor, we have to compare it to it. It kind of gives a bit of a false positive there. Really feels like Weibo, after taking down Annual's Legend, they just can't shake off this inconsistent curse of theirs.
And I think the other side of this to me for Ultra Prime is, I think it says quite a lot when a team locks in things that they think are good, compositions that they know they can play, that aren't necessarily what you would consider meta, that maybe are a little harder to